Good day, I'm Dean Whitford, Chief Executive Officer of DraftLogic Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you a fitness center taken from architectural floor plans up to about the 70% complete level. The first thing we need to do with any project is prepare it for use in DraftLogic Electrical. That basically means having room boundaries, floor boundaries, room ID tags, and letting DraftLogic Electrical know where the floors meet. So this being a Revit export with the room boundaries included, I'm really down to just minutes to draw my floor boundaries and tell DraftLogic Electrical to automatically insert my room IDs. If I want to place all my systems manually, that's as far as I need to go. But if I want to use auto placement, I need to just check the room type and the ceiling height and the other settings in each room tag. So including adding any missing room types to the room library and reviewing each of the 236 rooms in this project, you're probably looking at about 30 seconds per room, which would work out to about 2 hours. So depending whether I want to use automated placement or not, I'm either ready to go in a matter of minutes on this project or maybe as much as 2 hours. But let's see where the payoff gets us by doing that 2 hours of work to tell DraftLogic Electrical what each room type is and setting up the ceiling height, etc., etc. To see that in action, we use our automated placement. So I'll just tell it to do all the rooms. There's our start time, 5:55. Okay, automated placement on 236 rooms has been completed. Elapsed time just a touch over 18 minutes. And my laptop, it's 3 years old, only has 2 gigabytes of RAM, so a newer machine would perform a lot better. We can see that on the main floor, we skipped processing the lightings on these gyms. The lighting for the gyms is on the second floor, but we have our receptacles and lights throughout the hallways and washrooms, locker rooms, shower rooms, etc. Going over to the second floor, we see all that lighting in the large gyms and no receptacles on the second floor of those spaces, but on the upper hallways and classrooms, boardrooms, offices, etc., we have lighting and receptacles throughout. So just by isolating the lighting and receptacle layers and doing a properties on it, we see that DraftLogic Electrical placed 3,687 lights, receptacles, and light switches for us. That was what took that 18 minutes and 18 seconds. Now that we have the automated placement done, taking care of most of our lighting and receptacles, we would typically go through each space, make sure that everything is as we desire, and also add any systems that automated placement didn't do for us, like the fire, security, and communications, for example. So with our time spent in drawing discovery to get our room IDs in, add any missing room definitions to the room library, and check all of the room types for the 236 rooms, and then running the automated placement, we're about 2.5 hours into the project. If we estimate another couple minutes per room to tweak what was already placed and add other systems like the communications, we're adding about another 8 hours. There's also an extensive amount of mechanical equipment in this project, so let's budget a couple hours to look at the list of motors and place those into the project. Let's take a quick look at an office and see how DraftLogic Electrical helps you with even your manual drafting. So if we want to move some lights around, we have a high volume move tool that will automatically snap lights into their T-bar cells. All systems have the automatic snap and rotate, so lights go to T-bar if they're a T-bar mounted device, and things like communications, if we wanted to put a data and voice port in this office, it finds the wall, snaps to the wall, and then we get our attribute editor that controls the data and makes sure we have nice, clean information for each of our devices. We have clusters, which place a couple devices at once. So for example, in these offices, if we wanted duplex data tell, do it in one fell swoop. We get a cluster of blocks. This is also good for things like hospital beds. Keep in mind that mechanical also supports the same auto reload and the carrying over of attributes. So for example, if we have an air handler, we just set one up. The name will automatically be chosen for us based on a database table, so that's under your control. And we have remarks fields that will carry over onto our schedules. So if there's several of them, you just drop them as you need. The unique name automatically cycles, and the information that you placed in on the prior one automatically carries over. And if you need to, you can make just the small change. And away you go. Okay, I finished auditing the automated placement, finishing up manual placement, putting in all my mechanical. You can see our mechanical room is fairly busy here. We've got comms, exit lighting, and fire systems also added to the building. So we're at about the 12.5-hour mark from receiving the architectural floor plans to this point. Now we're ready to get some distribution devices in and do some circuiting. The easiest way to run automated circuiting, let DraftLogic Electrical place the type and amount of needed panels, and then rename those panels to your desires and rerun automated circuiting so that everything is circuited up to those proper names. I'm going to spend a couple hours setting up my service areas and getting the basic distribution devices all in place, and then we'll come back and run automated circuiting and see how long that takes. So here I've inserted transformers, CDPs, motor control centers, and panels as necessary to service the building. We've got some on each floor, and then we have a main couple of electrical rooms down on the main floor. Everything has been named specially. I didn't use the default ABCD type naming for the branch circuit panels. And I've also assigned service areas. So I've told DraftLogic Electrical which rooms in the project to service from what electrical rooms. And so now we're ready to run the automated circuiting. So we're starting this process at 6:35. DraftLogic Electrical is now going through that service area information that I gave it, and also looking at the room types to see which rooms allow circuit sharing into the neighboring rooms or not. And then it's going to go through all the devices and circuit them. So it will circuit all mechanical for us, all the lighting, and all the receptacles, leaving a very small handful of devices for us to manually circuit. At this time, only things like emergency lights and the relationships between the distribution devices. After we put our mechanical and other systems in, our device count probably exceeded 4,000, and DraftLogic Electrical took about 5.5 minutes on my 3-year-old laptop to circuit all of those. You can see we have circuit numbers beside all the lights, receptacles, and motors now. So we really don't want to have to rearrange attributes for 4,000 devices on our own. Let's run the annotation organizer. You can run it as many times as you want on a project, whenever you want. I will tell it that I want my wall-mounted devices to have the orientation of the annotation be the same angle as the wall-mounted device. I could also have it always horizontal. So when we have thousands of devices like this, it can be rather painstaking and error-prone work to try and see if anything was missed for circuiting. So we have tools like our circuiting QA, which will quickly identify if any devices were missed during circuiting, and we need to use our manual circuiting tool to fix it up. So the circuiting QA identified some things for us to look at. Let's turn all of our layers on. And we found a motor that wasn't, there's several motors that weren't circuited, so we can use our circuit manager to take care of those. So this little UH1 device is a single phase 120 volts. So we need to put it on our 2C panel here. Single phase motor, devices. We can right click to get our running total. We can throw on some other devices on the same circuit if we want, or split them to other circuits. It doesn't matter. So for that type of work, if we budget an average of 30 seconds per room, most rooms we won't need to do anything. Some rooms a little bit, and in that mechanical room, maybe a bit more. So given that we came into circuiting with 12.5 hours into our project, we budgeted 2.5 hours to set up and execute our automated circuiting, and then another couple hours to audit that circuiting and take care of anything that remained. We're now at a total of 17 hours in our project, and we're ready to look at some reporting. We have a complete bill of materials with conduit wiring, system materials, details on the panels and transformers, a summary list of transformers, and a summary of breakers and fuses with their fault levels required. And then we have our floor plan diagrams broken out by luminaires for each of the sections that I cut. You just need to put your title block around these and they're ready to go. Luminaire catalog that shows the detail image for each of the luminaires and some information about each of the luminaires. The luminaire schedule, which itemizes the luminaires and their quantities. Motor schedule. I think we have about 60 motors on this motor schedule, with our comments, all completely automatically generated. We have all of our panel schedules, quite a number of them, completely automatically generated, showing the protection and feeders, bonding and ground that were all selected based on the CEC or NEC rules, depending on what we ran this project under, all the way through the distribution, including the motor control centers, and finally all the way up to the MDP, where we see the total load of the whole project summarized. We have our single line diagram, completely automatically generated. You might need to do some tweaks if you have an emergency power generator or some other specialized equipment, but all of these reports are just standard AutoCAD blocks, so you can copy, paste, resize, move things around, all at your discretion. And then a watts per square foot report that details each room, the watts per square foot in that room. You have a summary for each floor individually. And then finally at the very bottom, we have the whole project summarized. Two flavors of a specialized legend of symbols that only shows the symbols that were used in the project to make it easier for our clients to interpret. We have a portrait style and a landscape style. All of these are completely standard AutoCAD blocks, so you can move things around as you desire. So with the reports all generated, which includes, of course, selecting protection and conductors, that happens automatically during reports generation by DraftLogic Electrical. If we assume that we took our time setting up those plot areas and we have some time left in there to review the reports, etc., we go from our prior total of 17 hours up to a total of 18 or 19 hours to take this approximately 350,000 square foot fitness center from architectural floor plans up to about the 70% complete level, maybe a little more. I could also run the automated branch circuit wiring and show you how that's included in the bill of materials, but I'll leave that more to our longer demo videos and our IntelliBid integration video. Thanks for your time.